Welcome to BRL Realistic Round 3. I am your commentator tonight, Wrathful. And we have a full grid of 20 cars, so should be interesting to see how this shakes up the constructors' standings when we see who scores points tonight. Lots to talk about, lots to see. We'll have to see how qualifying gets on for these gentlemen and lady here tonight. As it looks like we're just still loading into the session here, but we're getting on with Q1 eventually. Let's see who's gonna jump out first out of the pits. Try and set us a lap. Heavy rain. Is it heavy rain? Is that what the drivers are telling me in our chat here? Oh boy, maybe this is why there's some hesitation with people coming out first. People are grabbing their wet sets, maybe. So it might be a slower qualifying than we're probably expecting, maybe due to a different wing setup. We shall see who's brave enough to handle as much speed as possible with possibly a wet set. Nobody out of the pits yet, so here we are. We got a few cars coming out. Is that Ron? Ron manages to make it out first. Followed by Deer Hunter. And is that Boss Cookie? It is. And then there's a Haas. Is that Sprightly or Phantom? Phantom I know is a reserve in for Haas tonight. It looks like it's Sprightly out there, so let's hopefully they have a good run. Ron's teammate already making his way out there, Lewis fan. Well, he looks like he's being hounded a little bit by Alpha Nesis, the Merc. It looks like he just backed off a bit as these guys are getting ready to start their laps, but let's see. What does Ron have? We'll have to see. Have a minute and so time. He does come down over the line, pushing that Alfa Romeo quite hard through the corners. Only having the slightest bit of oversteer there and there, but grabs it perfectly through the corners for that Alfa Romeo. Setting an obvious purple as he is the first driver out there. Sporting a nice yellow helmet for the car too, so very nice to see some of the drivers and their aesthetical choices. People getting out of the way now for Ron, it looks like, as he's coming through. Ferrari not getting out of the way. Ron coming down through the final corners, fighting the car just that little bit. He's just trying to get as much power down and steering as possible. But it's a very nice corner, very tight and clean. That's going to be an 18.5 to start us off. What does Deer Hunter have behind? That's a 17.9. I believe Boss Cookie was in behind. Boss Cookie said it's a 17.3. So not bad from Deer Hunter in the Alpha to be quite close. Only 0.6 off the Red Bull is a pretty decent thing. But looks like Deer Hunter getting out of the way now for Boss Cookie, but I don't think he's on a run anymore. I believe Toneless is coming through the final sectors, but so is Lewis Fan, having a bit of a issue there. Oh, Lewis Fan's just lining up with one. I guess he had some issues. I know that was Sprightly finishing a lap. What does Sprightly have? Oh, he's invalidated, so he's going for another one. Fair enough. Just warming himself up to the track, I'm guessing. Minico out there. Who else is about to finish a lap for us? Let's see. I believe that is... Oh. Thomas. Setting a 19 flat, pretty much. Doesn't look like there's a lot of traction out there today. Maybe there's the track's a little bit cooler than these drivers would like, because everyone's really fighting the track. Although I know that this track is a pain. Looks like Ferrari Nut has set himself with a 19.7. Lewis Fan just putting himself out with a 32 provisional time. I'm sure that was just an out lap for him, just to warm himself up to the track as well. Lots of drivers out there. Do have a driver off though. It's not Phantom, but is that Sprightly? Sprightly is off. Still sporting a green helmet for Carbon's grandfather in memory of him, so awfully nice of him. But continuing on, I do see a Ferrari on their way through. Is that Chandler? Chandler's starting a lap now. Looks like Lewis Fan finally got a lap down that they're a little bit happier with, a 19.2. Looks like they are out of battery though for another one, so they might be looking at coming in. Phantom starting a lap now. Lots of traffic at the end. That's Sprightly there, but let's see. Ferrari not coming down to the line. Not quite improving, but maybe he's gonna go now for his lap, yeah. I do see an Aston. Is that Katra starting their lap? Okay, is that Taylor on a run? In behind? No, Taylor's starting a run, so that's Boss Cookie setting himself with a very nice time on the mediums. A 17.1. So Boss Cookie quite having the pace on different type of tire. Haley into the pits now. Let's see who else is on a run. So Chandler's invalidated, getting out of the way for Phantom, I believe. Phantom's on their way through to finish their lap in the Haas. What do they have? Oh man, some of these drivers are very quick in here. It is a mixed bag of all drivers from multiple divisions of BRL, so there are some very, very fast Tier 1 drivers putting down some very, very fast times in these realistic cars. Phantom warming himself up to the track. Looks like Chandler is going for his next run. Who else was that at the end? Is that Taylor on his way through? Taylor's invalidated. Okay. Is that Katra on their way through? It was. Is that Ferrari Nut as well improving to an 18.9? So good on Ferrari Nut and the Williams up into P6 right now. Hopefully he can stay there. Katra only P9, but on the mediums, so trying to go for that alternate strategy. We'll have to see. I do see a McLaren, but I do believe that's just Rath starting his outlap. So he's even on the mediums trying to get it done. Boss Cookie doing a few laps on those mediums, so. See, that's Deer Hunter. Is Deer Hunter on a lap right now? No, he's gonna come right into the pits. Very nice. Okay. Phantom on a run. What does he have? A decent time. Chandler goes second though on those mediums. That is a 17.5. I'm sure he might want more, but not having the battery, I'm not sure it's there. So And not having the fuel, it seems. Zach on an outlap now. Wrath is on his way through. Has a purple sector too, but that might just be personals for setting out his first lap. And that's going to be a 17.7 in the McLaren. So a very competitive time. Boss Cookie goes a little step farther, does a 17 flat. But, yeah, these guys are just throwing out the mediums because they know that the heavy rain is coming. So they can save those softs for a later run. I think that's the strategy right now. Chandler, that's not road. What are you doing? It's an interesting pit entry. That's fair. Who else is on a run on their way through? Looks like Zach is starting their lap. I see is that a Supply Raptor finishing a run? Nope, just starting a run. He's got, I think, Lewis Fan or Ron in behind him. Who else would be finishing one? Is that Taylor or Ferrari Nut? Ferrari Nut into the pits. Okay, so the next one through is Feta, but Feta is on an outlap, starting a lap now. Is that Taylor on a run? No, Taylor I think is just getting ready for a run, getting out of the way for Luciano. Oh, Lou, I'll never get your name right. It always messes me up in the head. I don't know why. I'm sorry, man. I butcher it every time. I honestly am sorry. What do you got coming down over the line? That's P7. That's going to be a 17.9. Decent time so far for the Alpha, or the Aston. So, looks like Shazam into the pits. Or is that Alpha, perhaps? We shall see. Who is that? Lewis Fan. About to start a lap. Is that Supply Raptor finishing his? Invalidated. Zach, I think, is finishing his. Nope, Zach is starting his, it seems. Maybe he had a bit of an issue and bowed out of it earlier. So that's just going to be a banker time of 1:37. Beta on their run. What did they have for us? 17.8, very close to their teammate, only 1/10 off. So very competitive times from both McLarens as per usual. What else do we have? Is that Katra on another run? Katra's starting another run, but that's their teammate Lou in the final sector. Lou's finishing another lap, trying to improve. Does improve. That's a 17.8 pretty much. So that's good for them. I think that's all the fuel that they have on board. Maybe getting into the pits and getting one more. But yeah, interesting mixed group. I would have to say that with the heavy rain coming, there's a lot of mix-up. If anybody wants to join, I'm sure our Nightbot will often put in our Discord there to join in, and all you have to do is our sign-up sheet and apply. It's not very hard. You'll be sorted. We have lots of reserves. We were waiting on a reserve today, so, you know, hypothetically speaking, if you were around, you could have got in, so. Boss Cookie retires in the pits. He's done for the session. That makes sense. He set himself up for enough practice laps on those mediums. Alpha Nisa starting their lap now. Katra getting out of the way for Deer Hunter and maybe trying to pull their teammate down the straight. I don't know. Maybe trying to get out of the way for teammate. Yep. What does Deer Hunter have? Does Deer Hunter have a time? Deer Hunter has something in the bag. It's not enough, though, so he's going to maybe save himself for another run. both the Astons into the pit. So the bottom 5 will be knocked out. Right now we're looking at Ferrari not on the bubble and is heading out of the pits now to possibly remedy that. I think they're followed by their teammate. What does Taylor have? Taylor starting a lap now by the looks of it, trying to improve on Shazam. Maybe just getting that practice in as well. A few extra laps on the medium won't hurt considering they're going to the wets. But setting some purple times, wanting to beat their teammate though. Does Taylor have it? There's a few other drivers out on laps, but I think this is the one people want to see. Grabbing every ounce, every inch of the track. Pushing the tires so far through every corner, braking as deep as possible. And short shifting amazingly through every corner to grab maximum traction. Now what does Taylor have for us coming down over the line? It's an improvement. It's a 17.2, so it's gotten them away from Chandler, but not as far as maybe they wanted. But again, on older tires is what it is. Deer Hunter trying to do another lap. Alphanesis on a run. Do you believe that was Ron or Lewis? Lewis is on an out lap. So yeah, Alphanesis I think is our next driver to be finishing a lap. Still in a very safe spot on their earlier time. Yeah, I do have a Haas off on their out lap at least. Not on their main lap. Maybe they weren't even off. Maybe they were just trying to get out of the way. Alphanesis into the pits. He's done. He knows he's safe. What is that? That was Bailey going through to improve for a 17.7. That's a very competitive time for the Alpine. Right up there with Rath in the McLaren. Right up there with Deer Hunter in the Alpha. So let's see. Luciano starts their lap. Luciano. Catra on their run. Both the Haas is still starting a lap. And let's see what the Williams have. It's Toneless and Ferrari Nut. Can they bump themselves out? It's an improvement from Toneless. Is it now Ferrari Nut's turn to get a pull? It is. So maybe this is teamwork working out for the Williams, but Toneless is somewhat safe as long as his teammate doesn't bump him out. Oh, and Ferrari Nut loses it, but saves the car. So good on him. What does Catra have on her way? Come on, Catcher, what do you got? Is that out of Q1 for Catra? That is safe for now. That's a 28.2. We'll have to see. Their teammate coming through now. No big improvement needed from them. Let's see. Toneless on his way through. Ferrari Nut still pacing through. Is Taylor still on another run? I imagine Taylor's into the pits. Taylor's into the pits. How are the Haas's doing at the bottom? An improvement from Phantom, but it won't be enough this time around, unfortunately. The Haas just not having the aerodynamics or car under it for this track. Sprightly comes down, finish his run. Oh, and they get knocked. Toneless gets knocked by Ron Swanson with an 18.4. Or was that maybe Zach getting in a better time to the end, putting him into P12? So there you have it. Both the Williams, an Alfa Romeo, and both the Haas's are out in Q1. We'll be moving forward from here, but so far so good for our drivers. A lot of medium tires going on. I heard there's some wet conditions for the race, so we'll have to see how that gets on. A lot of them grabbing that medium tire, so we should see a little bit more pace from them with some more soft runs, maybe in Q2. But very good from some of the teams. McLaren putting it very close to one another. Supply Raptor a little bit off from Deer Hunter, but that could be just the difference from mediums to softs. Zach needs a little bit of room to climb to his teammate. Same with Minico, just a little bit more, but maybe just Q1 and said, you know what, there's more for later. So we'll have to see who's got more for later, and who can pull it out. I wonder how the drivers will get on when it gets to the wet conditions. They're all used to these high-speed, dry, high-traction corners. It'll be even worse in the wet, so we'll see. All teammates present except for Ron. He's alone this time around, unfortunately. His teammate knocked out in Q1. Everybody else doing all right. Who's that? Bailey getting out first to set a time. It looks like Deer Hunter perhaps getting out there as well. I know Deer Hunter is usually an eager guy to set down a time. Yeah, that's Deer Hunter. Bailey just getting out there to warm up the tires a bit. Let's see. That's Katra as well as Alpha Nesis. And now Minico heading out as well, so. Finally getting a populated track, which is nice. Be lots to talk about. Once we start getting some lap times in, it's Q2, but I don't think our tire allotment, as it were, is going to be a big deal, as it's going to be probably very wet in the race, so these guys are going to go full beans on the sauce from pretty much here on out, Q2 and Q3, so. Just misses the curb, giving it as much speed as possible. God, it's just impressive. This is what I love. I love watching realistic. It's great practice for me to see the line and see how these drivers do it. Very impressive every week. Setting that provisional purple time. And that's another purple sector, obviously, but yeah, just running over the curbs, grabbing everything. Bailey really having a lot of control in that Alpine. Looks so on rails that it looks like almost an equal car, but it's definitely not. It is not. Coming down over the line to start us off. What do you got for us, Bailey? That is a 17-2. Not a bad time. Let's see, I believe that was Deer Hunter finishing their time next. It's an 18-2. I think Deer Hunter's got a little bit more, but again, jumped on the mediums this time around. Is that... no, that's Taylor out there starting their lap. I believe that's Katra now starting, or finishing their run. That's going to be P3 and 18.9. Alpha Nisus with a 17.6. And Minico jumping up towards their teammate with a 17.4. So Minico had that bit more pace to try and close up to their teammate. Still needs about 2 more tenths. But other drivers getting out of the way for Minico as they're on possibly a second run. See how that gets on. Is that Boss Cookie finishing a run now? What does Boss Cookie have? That's a 16.2 on the softs, though. On the softs. So some of our drivers out there on medium, so there's going to be a bit of a disparity in pace just due to the tires. The softs are just so much better. Zach putting himself up there. 17.5. I think he wants to dig a little bit more to get ahead of those Alpines, but a 17.5 isn't a bad banker for him right now. It's provisionally P4. Lots of drivers still needing to make their run. Some traffic trying to get out of the way of Luciano. Oh no, is that Deer Hunter that was on their way? Sorry. It is Deer Hunter. I think he might be just starting a lap though. Yep. Haley into the pits. Minico into the pits. Shazam on an out lap. It looks like Alpha Nisus into the pits. Same with Katra, so Taylor looks like getting out of the way for Chandler on a run. Chandler's got a lot of time in the bag. Then again, just set a provisional time of a 1:32. So that is going to be second though with a 16.8, 8, 9. I'm sure Chandler's going to want a little bit more, but again, that might be the end of it with the disparity between Ferrari and Red Bull, but I'm not quite sure. That's a very competitive time so far into the 16s. So the only 2 16s we've seen yet. Let's see, Ron, I believe, was finishing their run. No, just starting a lap. Same with Feta Cheese was getting out pits. Shazam, I believe, was just starting their lap. Supply Raptor in behind them. Starting a lap now, okay. Deer Hunter, you coming into the pits? You're coming into the pits. Okay. So, who do we have out here? Blue getting out of the way for everybody else. Everybody being fairly respectful out there of one another, so that's very nice. Let's see, I believe Feta was just on an out. Ron's on a hot though. Gonna try and get a little bit of a tow from the McLaren. Gonna slot him P9. It's sort of safe for now, but that's pretty good for the Alfa Romeo, considering the difference in pace that the car has. It's very competitive time for the car. Shazam coming down over the line. That's P3 on the mediums, a 17.1. They surely got a little bit more in the bag there on the softs, but that's gonna probably be safe for this session. Who else is on a run? Feta is on a run. Taylor is on an out lap, so he'll probably not be in the way for this run anyhow. That's a purple sector 2. Boss Cookie retires in the pits. He's happy with his time. And that is going to be P4 with the 17.2. Looks like the 2 alphas are working their way through. Wrath starting his lap. Ron into the pits. Let's see what we got. Alpha Nisus out there. No, he's in the pits. Shazam into the pits. So yeah, let's go back to Supply Raptor. I believe that they were starting another lap now. Deer Hunter starting a lap now. And Supply Raptor into the pits. So Taylor is our next driver up on a run. Interesting helmet design for the Red Bull. But that's going to be a personal purple, I believe. As Taylor doesn't quite have a time down yet. Being fairly safe on this run, fairly conservative, just wanting to get a time down by the looks of it. But knowing Taylor, it's still going to be fast, and that is very fast. That is a 16.7. Puts himself right up there with his teammate, so we shall see what that will unfold for Q3. Wrath coming in for P3. 16.8. That's another 16 runner and just barely faster than Chandler. Let's see. Luciano starting a lap. Is that an improvement from Deer Hunter? I believe so. 17.4. Now let's see. Shazam and Alpha Nisus are on an out lap. Are the two McLarens working out something to help each other? Maybe. Maybe Feta was getting a bit of a pull from their teammate. Is Feta going for another one? I think they're relatively safe, no? Oh, a little snap, but grabs it amazingly. Taylor getting out of the way, yielding to another car on a lap. Thank you, sir. Taking the alt escape route for the other drivers coming through. That's going to be an improved time of a 16.4 as well, and just faster than Chandler. Chandler's safe anyhow. Looks like Katra not on a run. Luciano is a 17.3, so that's somewhat safe. I'd say that that's probably our line tonight for Q2, but we'll have to see. Who else is on a run towards the end? Supply Raptor is getting out there for a lap. Is that Minico out there for a hot lap? Yes. Same with Bailey getting ready for one. Wrath retiring in the pits. It is just trying to get to the pits. Shazam on his lap, but getting out of the way for that one. Fighting the car for traction, but still gripping it very, very well. Giving it everything through the corners as the car just kind of complains slightly and then says, yes, we go. Going through the corner now. What does Shazam have? That's going to be P2 just to bump down Taylor. That's a 16.5 in the Mercedes, so very good time. Feta into the pits. What is that? Zach, I think, is on the bubble and trying to improve. Has 3/10 in the bag. That would be enough. That's P7 right by his teammate. I think he's going to be happier with that time to close the gap in. P6, P7 for the Ferraris. That's that'll do it for this session for them. Now, that's going to set Minico into a bit of an issue. Bailey, I know, is finishing a lap ahead of time, and so is Supply Raptor. Supply Raptor invalidated, so he's going for another. Bailey improves. It's going to be safer with a 17.1. Minico's got a little bit of time in there. And that's going to be P9, so it's going to move some people down. I said Lou was going to be on that bubble, and it looks about that way. I know Deer Hunter is on an out lap, so he's going to want to get in and get that done. Catcher, I believe, is out there on a lap. Zach is probably going to be making his way to the pits. Is that Alphanesis on a run? No. He's invalidated and does not have time, so that is probably the end of his session. Shazam going into the pits. So I believe our next runner would be Katra. What does Katra have? Can she somehow get herself out of Q2 and into Q3? I'm not sure. What do you have, Katra? That is a 17.7, a good improvement, but not quite enough. P14. Very tight group. Ron going through to start a lap. I believe that was Deer Hunter to start a lap as well, so lots of drivers on their way through. I know Minico and Bailey were out there. They're done. They don't need to do anything else. So yeah, our final runners are... We're looking at Deer. We're looking at Ron. Can Ron improve his time dramatically in that Alfa Romeo? It's going to be a stretch, but I've seen him do some crazy things in the Alfa. Man can score points, so anything's possible. Deer Hunter getting through, trying to get every bit of traction he can out of these corners, but again, it's a very difficult fight. Takes a wide, deep apex to grab as much curb as he can, slings himself around the corners to try and maximize his pace. Doing very well with it, though. Having a little snap and grabs it right back like that. Just fighting the car a little bit, having a little snap of oversteer and understeer, but overall, doing very well. What has he got coming down? That's P10, just by a smallest amount. Lou is out by the smallest and smallest of fractions. Supply Raptors bowed out of their lap. Patra, I think, has done, so that is it. Lost Cookie is going to take Q2, which is Shazam and Taylor, Wrath and Feta for P4, P5, and Chandler and Zach for 6-7. Bailey and Minico for 8-9, and Deer Hunter for P10. So a lot of these teammates are fairly close when it comes to qualify. Supply Raptor and Deer Hunter very close, but only one of the Alphas making it through, unfortunately. And we lose out, unfortunately, the last Alfa Romeo and both Astons and one Mercedes. A very tight group. Look at that. Look at these 16s. That's some amazing team performance, considering they're all stacked 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So these guys are very tight. These teammates are very close. But it's going to be balls to the wall because it's the last round, and we're going to see who qualifies up front. I know these drivers are going to want that, considering there's not a lot of overtaking advantages in the wet, and it's very difficult to do so unless someone really has a blunder. So I'm sure some of these guys are going to want to get out first, get ahead, and get that time. Boss Cookie seems to have the pace to do so. Taylor seems to be able to keep close to his team. I have a feeling Chandler might have a little bit more in the bag. We'll have to see. It might be hard for some of the lower performance vehicles, as it were, can handle the raw speed. The McLaren should be strong here with these straight line speeds, so it will be hard. We have Shazam coming out. We have the McLarens coming out. Is that Zach out there? No, that's Chandler. Chandler's gonna get out there first. I don't expect anything else besides softs in this run. So there is that. So we'll have a run from Chandler and then Feta. Looks like Bailey and Minico trying to get out there as a team. Shazam trying to stick in close, wanting DRS from the two teammates perhaps with his knocked out. Unsure what the play there is. Looks like the two Red Bulls came out together to support each other. Deer Hunter out there alone, but with the two Red Bulls, it seems, leading that charge. Zach in behind them, maybe trying to grab a toe, and is that Wrath in behind them, perhaps? Yeah, it is. Chandler just slowing himself down, getting ready for his run. Wants to have the premium temp for his tires. I'm sure he wants them a little bit cool considering they do get fairly hot around here. Maybe that's what people are having issues with, is the overheating tires into these corners. Having a little bit of an issue through turn 1, but it is a very difficult corner to get just right. Not invalidating there, grabbing just all the track as possible. Beautifully through the corner, grabbing the curb for some exit power and some traction. Oh, having a little bit of a fight with the car, but just powering through it though. Slightest squabble of the tire, not even a lockup, just the squawk. That's how they, you know, that these drivers get it right. It's just that light squawk. It's maximum brake pressure with no locking up. And that's a 16.5. A little bit faster than he had so far. Boss Cookie's gonna need a little bit. Feta into the pits after invalidating. Looks like Bailey's gonna set himself with a 17.4. Nico's feeling lucky with a 17.777. Shazam going a little bit faster. Deer Hunter with a 17.6. And Taylor with a 16.5. So, yeah. Zach with a 17.6 as well. And who do we have? I believe that's Wrath to start another one. Yeah. Boss Cookie's gonna set or start a lap now after, I guess, either getting out of the way or having some issues. Not a lot of time on the board, so I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to want to get these laps in and done so they can power themselves up for the last run. So for some of these drivers, I'm sure it's just going to be a dive to the pits right now. And Chandler into the pits. So what do we have from Bailey? Bailey probably into the pits. And same with Minico, as they're both yielding for Shazam. Shazam has more pace, but he's running to the pits. Just running to the pits. They're all going to the pits, but he's running for it, so. Boss Cookie setting himself some personal purples, but I'm not sure if that was a sector purple. Might have very well been, being the Red Bull. Into the pits comes Boss Cookie instead, and that is a very much a speeding into the pits, sir. That is not very nice. Wrath into the pits as well. Theta out on an out lap. A lot of these drivers trying to get in for another run. Deer Hunter on a lap as well. Only driver on a lap, so I will ride along board with him. I think the game has slotted him with a stock helmet, unfortunately. Unless that's all Deer Hunter runs, because he doesn't seem to mind, but I don't know. Oh, having a bit of a moment, but grabs the car and saves it. I'm sure Deer Hunter's just going to say F it and into the pits. so I think that's going to be their run. Feta on the lap now. Chandler getting back out there for a run a little bit earlier than I would have thought, but maybe just not very happy with that time. Feta maybe just going a little bit deep into the corner, but just squabbled the tires enough that maybe it was fine. Trying to grab everything, but this is a very low traction corner. That's a purple sector 2, but Feta doesn't have any time on the board, so that's going to be a personal purple. Small snap of oversteer. And down to the line, what does Feta have? They're not going into the pits, they're going for it. So it's a P5 with a 17 flat, very close to their teammate. Oh. Oh no, it's just Chandler. Lining it up. He's just lining up his lap. No, nothing to be afraid of there. Wrath out on a run on his out lap. Taylor's still in the pits. Boss Cookie also on an out lap, so Chandler's starting a lap now. And invalidated into turn 1, so hopefully has enough fuel to just get another run down. Is gonna try and recharge the battery, I'm assuming. That's also speeding into the pits to try and get back out in time. So stewards might have to look into that rule on speeding into pits during qualifying for realistic. I'm not sure that's the intended way to play, guys. Boss Cookie has invalidated this lap, so he's going to try and recharge for maybe another one, or try to run back to the pits and get another one in. So looks like the weather's changing though. Maybe the track's not going to be any better because it looks cloudy out there. I don't think it's as sunny as it was before. Those look like the rain clouds before the race, maybe. So, possible rain at the very end of the session? Chandler getting on with another run. This time gets through turn 1 with no issues. Pretty much equal on their time, but I'm sure maybe it's not Sector 1 they had an issue with. Maybe it was just Sector 2 and 3, where they had some issues with some traction, perhaps. It's getting very dark very quickly out there, but so far, no rain, no wet, just a dark track. Personal, that's a purple, but we'll have to see. As Chandler does have that purple time. Is this going to be pole? Will Taylor be able to get back out there and say something about it? Will anybody else be able to say something about it? Comes down over the line, and that is going to be an improvement. That's a 16.499. Again, with the changing weather, I'm not sure who else might be able to improve. Taylor needing to line up another lap, or on their out lap, so Deer Hunter improves to P6, so good on them, 17-1. Bailey on their run through, I believe that was Shazam starting a lap. 5 plays grid penalty for collision, Boss Cookie and Wrath. That's going to be a steward inquiry. Oh boy. Bailey sets himself with a 17-1 as well. And just a little bit off Deer Hunter, but Minico trying to improve as well. I don't know what happened between Wrath and Boss Cookie, but that seems silly. So they're both on and outlap the McLarens. You see Minico coming through to finish. He's got a lot of time in the bag. Everybody trying to improve at these late stages of the session. Maybe rain was forecasted, but won't make it for the qualifier. That's going to push him up all the way to P4 with a 16.9. So maybe the track isn't as bad as one might think. And it's better now that it's cooled out a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit more grip out there. Who knows? Beta on their way through. Looks like Wrath into the pits. That Taylor, no, that's Boss Cookie starting their run. Was Boss Cookie interfering with Shazam there? I don't know. Might have costed him a tenth or two, who knows? So we'll see. That's purple sector 1 so far. Deer Hunter is trying to get out of the way, does so at a fairly opportune time. Looks like that's either Bailey or Minico into the pits. And Shazam's got a lot of time in hand. It would be enough to put him over Taylor and Chandler at this point, as Taylor has a 16.3. What do we have from Shazam? Is this going to be pole right here? And the Mercedes takes it with a 16.1. In the late stages of qualified, does Boss Cookie have anything to answer back? No. He's got bad wing damage from that earlier contact. That's probably how he got that grid penalty or whatever happened there. I'm not quite sure. But that's going to be it. That's going to be it for our qualifier. So yes, Boss Cookie and Wrath with a 5-place grid penalty. That'll put Wrath to like P10 and Boss Cookie to 15. But very, very tight between Shazam and Taylor and Chandler. Very close into those very low 16s. Minico pushing that Alpine somehow into the 17s, or into the 16s rather, because that was a rapid time. Bailey only getting a 17.1. Looks like 17.1, 17 flat was pretty much the par time. Anybody that made it into the 16s was a time to beat for sure. So good on these drivers. We'll have to see what happens into the race. I have heard it's wet. We'll have to see how wet. Heard it's heavy rain. Variable predictions, variable race with the game, so we'll have to see. It doesn't look very wet. This all looks like a dry start. There's water on the glass though, but is that just a visual glitch? Because Codemasters? Who knows? Does not look very wet out there though. Let's see here. What will happen? I'm sure these drivers have a quick break, but currently Chandler is sitting P2 in the championship with 27 points. Taylor in P1 with 30, so there's a 3-point gap there. There's 5-point divide to Ferrari Nut, and then that puts him at 25 points. Shazam at 19 points for P4. Raptor at 17 points. Minico at 16. Wrath at 14. Zach at 10. Bailey at 8. Lou at 6. Katra at 4. Boss Cookie at 2. Ron at 1 point. And everybody else yet to score, which would be Toneless, Lewis, Ichigo, and Sprightly. Then again, the two Hasses are going to have a hard time. Same with Williams, same with the Alpha. So nothing against them. Cars just don't have quite the pace compared to the Red Bull, compared to all the other upper performance cars. But this could shake up the championship. We'll have to see. Lots of drivers could be moving up and down as this isn't looking well for Boss Cookie, as it's going to put him right back out of the points to start with. Wrath is not going to like to starting from 10th, so that's not great for them. Could play out well for Ferrari and the Alpines, but we'll see. It looks like all these drivers are out on those Q2 tires. Luciano, the only driver out there. On those mediums in the top 10. Everybody else on softs or mediums. Ferrari not choosing the hards. Maybe the weather changed? Maybe there's no rain? Oh, we've lost a Bailey. Alright, Shazam. Lead us to the start of this race. Let's get this underway. Let's see these red lights. Classic Bailey. I agree, Valk. I agree. Better to spin on the formation lap, eh? That's what I always say. Better to spin on a formation lap. Get it out of your system, right? Bailey's just getting out that first spin jitter. So, hopefully, it'll spell for a good race. But we shall see. Waiting for the rest of the crowd to line up before we get our 5 red lights. And there's our 5. And away we go. Looks like Shazam gets a good run, but Minico also trying to get a good run into the corner. Taylor and Chandler almost make a contact. Oh, and that's big contact behind. I don't know if anybody's got damage. Oh, there's an Alpha off as well. So again, lots of battling already. Not good for what people want. I guess that's Lewis fan out, but people already battling into the corner. Deer Hunter trying to make a move on Feta, but that looks like that's Minico that's lost out. Maybe somebody tapped him into the corner. Deer Hunter trying to make a move on Feta for that podium position early. But we'll see. Wrath already made up a lot of positions into the start of that. Zach doing very well up into P6. Alpha, Nisus, and Lou fighting side by side. Lou doing very well on those mediums, though. side by side with Soft Runner into the corner, but does have the inside line. They do share enough space through the corner. Lou trying to get the better run, but I'm not sure he's going to win out this time. Does have his teammate Katra behind, so she might be able to defend against Boss Cookie, but Boss Cookie's made up a lot as Shazam finishes the first lap, and he's second clear of the rest of the crowd. He's already ahead and gone. Chandler's already ahead and gone. And Veta is trying to hold off the rest of the train. Deer Hunter right there. Wrath right there. Zach right there. Bailey right close. We've lost out Taylor as well, but Taylor seems to have been made up a position on Phantom there. Alphanesis looking for a move. And he's going to get it done on Zach in the Mercedes, so maybe Zach just wanting to play it smart and safe to the end of the race, not wanting to get in any stupid fight too early. It's, looks like everybody's pushing with a little bit of battery, trying to get the upper hand. It looks like Ron Swanson and Taylor are trading positions. Taylor trying to make his way back through the crowd. Lewis Fan onto a new set of tires, unfortunately for him. Who do we have here? Alphanesis on the back of Wrath. Will he be able to make a move without DRS? Maybe with the battery on the straight. DRS is available. Moves being made. Boss Cookie on Bailey. Wrath and Alphanesis. Alphanesis makes his way through. Wrath maybe looking at it, not quite. Alphanesis having a bit of a lockup, but still makes his way through with that Mercedes. And has DRS on Deer Hunter. Deer Hunter has DRS on Feta, so that's how it is. Boss Cookie making his way through, diving down the inside of Zach. Again, Zach, I'm not sure if that's the best defense is no defense, but he's doing well to try and hold his position against the faster cars, such as the Red Bull and Mercedes. Catcher having a bit of a moment, but saving the car very nicely, trying to keep up with the rest of the crowd. But yeah, it looks like Shazam and Chandler have pretty much taken off. They're in their own races for each respective car. Could be an easy podium if they can just hold on to their pace and that be the end of it. But Deer Hunter still trying to close in on Feta. Feta almost outside of DRS. Maybe can just stay away from Deer Hunter. I don't think Deer Hunter got DRS. He did not. And Alphanesis is right there looking to make that move now. And that's going to be the move done. Lots of other squabbles in the back as Supply Raptor makes his way through. Taylor makes his way through. And it looks like Wrath has gotten the better end of Zach as well. So we'll have to see. Minico making his way through the Alpha. Typical for the Alpine to try and, or at least have the pace over that. Trying to catch back into the main crowd. Just sort of grabbing the main DRS chain now. Needing to grab it as soon as possible. Zach's still in the middle of this train. Bailey's still there. Taylor's still there in P10. So Boss Cookie up to P6 and Taylor into P10 after some interesting opening corners there. I'm sure the stewards will have to look at that. Plenty of laps left. We still got about 30 or so. Just under. Plenty to go. Alphanesis closing in on Feta. Now the question is Alphanesis going to have the pace to catch in on Chandler if they can get around Feta? It's going to have DRS. It's going to be a lot. It's not going to be quite enough. But Deer Hunter and Boss Cookie are going to be fighting through the corner. And yeah, looks like Boss Cookie just wins out on that one. Two of them are just outside of DRS now of Alphanesis, as Alphanesis is looking at Feta again, but not quite having the pace for the corner. It is a very short DRS run and not really one you can make a whole lot of impact on, but just hounding the back of the McLaren. Amazing way to do it. Try to force a mistake if possible. Just trying to stay in the mirrors and try to be a distraction. Vettel having a bit of a moment, but grabbing the car perfectly fine again. About 2 seconds off from Chandler, doing very well in the McLaren, but looks like Boss Cookie and Alpha Nisus really want that last podium position, so they're going to want to fight it out. Boss Cookie with almost no battery, Alpha Nisus with a lot more, and Feta with a ton to keep himself in his position. Will it be enough? Not quite against DRS, but it will be enough to keep out Boss Cookie, so it's not 2 on this time around. Feta will at least have Alpha Nisus for DRS to keep Boss Cookie away, but Boss Cookie's going to dive down the inside. Feta being smart about it, just letting Red Bull through somewhat, not wanting to get their wing cut off there. But holding right to the back of Boss Cookie, so Deer Hunter's somewhat fallen off from the crowd, so this is where the second group forms, it seems. Wrath, Taylor, and Zach all in a train behind Deer Hunter, with Bailey there for P10, and the top 5 are all trying to run away for their own race. Alpha Nisus now with a little bit of clean air, setting some personal purples. Will that be enough to get it done and get away from Boss Cookie? This Boss Cookie's going to want DRS. Boss Cookie will have DRS. Alpha Nisus is closing in on Chandler ever so slowly, and same with Boss Cookie. Wrath and Deer Hunter making a play. Oh, Deer Hunter getting squabbly, having to get out of it, and gets a 3-second time penalty for his misery. Taylor gets his way through. Zach gets his way through. As it's just a whole bullying of Deer Hunter with that one little squabble. He's lost 3 positions just like that, pretty much. Zach having a little bit of a lockup, just trying to avoid the front of, or the back of Taylor, but so far so good. Boss Cookie still on the back of Alpha Nisus. Feta is increasing that gap a little bit to the second train, even though it's his teammate now. Looks like Taylor making his way through, though, on Wrath a little early, but maybe Wrath wants the DRS. Taylor ain't wasting any time, just trying to get ahead. Using all that battery to get as much pace as possible out of the car, but the McLaren will have DRS to close in a little bit. Zach will have DRS to close in a little bit. And Boss Cookie's going to take a 3-second time penalty for his warnings as well. So the time penalties are already starting to rack up 1/3 of the race through. We'll have to see who survives to the end with no penalties. Late safety car can be a big deal with those, so we'll have to see. Looks like Alpha Nisus is somewhat closed into the back of Chandler at this point. Bailey and Deer Hunter now fighting it out. I guess Deer Hunter had a bit of a moment. These two go side by side in the corner. Oh, Deer has a bit of a slide, and that's going to be his wing off from hitting Bailey, as the two of them are just kind of hooked together. He's got bad wing damage. He's going to have to let his teammate through. And Lou's also going to try to make the move. Does not hit the back of the other Alpha, and dives in there past Deer Hunter, as Deer Hunter is just having a horrible time out there. Back up at the front, we're going to have to see if Alpha can get this move done on Chandler with DRS. Has a lot of battery, has DRS. Chandler's got battery, but nothing to fight with, really, with no DRS, so he's just going to let that one slide, it seems. Lots can still happen. Alpha Nisus is going to try and close in on his teammate. Looks like Alphanesis was expecting a bit of a dive and allowed the room. Now he's going to try and run away to not allow such a thing again. Boss Cookie right there, trying to get it done. Deer Hunter into the pits for a new wing, unfortunately. And Chandler having a bit of a lock-up moment and having to let Boss Cookie through, unfortunately for him. That's going to let Feta try to look at the back of Chandler. We'll have to see what Feta can do. But right now, Feta's the closest driver to a podium outside of our top three in Chandler. So not going to be this time around, maybe a little bit farther into the race, but Taylor closing in behind. Zach's got his own little grouping, but Wrath is keeping him company, just the two of them. Ailey's got his own little grouping, but he's got Raptor there for company. Phantom and Toneless making a move. Phantom going a little bit wide with the Haas, just not able to give him the braking power I'm guessing he wanted through the corner. But good on the back group to make a move done. Boss Cookie's still closing in on Alphanesis. Fighting the car a bit. Those tires are starting to look a little haggard out there, so I'm guessing a pit stop is imminent for the soft runners at this point. We'll have to see. Shazam has stretched out his lead to almost about 6 seconds. It's closing in a little bit now with Alphanesis. Looks like Boss Cookie's giving it all he can with battery and DRS, but it's not quite enough. He's going to just close into the back of the Mercedes very nicely. And let's see, is Wrath through on Zach? Not quite. Katra's got a bit of a fight going on between her and... Oh, no, Minico's in the pit. My bad. Minico getting ahead of that first pit, maybe trying to get that undercut. Lewis gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. This Wrath is just going to hold on to the back of Zach. Boss Cookie still trying to close in on Alphanesis. Both cars having slightly different lines through the corner due to their different aerodynamics. Deer Hunter on his way through Sprightly. Minico on his way through Ferrari Nut. Ferrari Nut still doing well on those 10-lap hards and might start paying out now as all these soft runners are going to be diving into the pits very soon. Boss Cookie and Alphanesis continue on for one more lap. Taylor into the pits now. So not wanting to interfere with his teammate in that sense. And Zach is also into the pits now. Anybody else that looks like Bailey into the pits. Bailey's going to get a 5-second for speeding into the pit lane. So that is not going to help their race at all. Who else? Nobody else for the moment. Feta's still holding on to the back of Chandler, but Chandler's seemingly having some issues with those tires, but these tires look very haggard, so I'd imagine that they're not feeling super nice. So I don't blame these guys for having a slip here and there. Taylor onto the new set of mediums, same with Zach. Same with Bailey, so it looks like the soft medium is the play. These guys are going to go do the long stint, but we have a car off. Is that Lewis fan? It is. Alphanesis on his way through him. I guess Boss Cookie must have had an issue because he's fallen right off. He's got no wing again, so I don't know if that was contact or... Oh! And that's an odd place to crash out. Oh, I guess too much speed through the corner, but Boss Cookie's going to be into the pits to try and get a new wing. We still have a yellow Sector 3. I don't know if that's going to be a safety car or not. Luciano making his way through. Catra still doing well on those 12 laps soft. So far out of the back group, keeping on with that. Looks like we have a pit from Phantom as well. Oh, maybe not. Or I just missed it. Yeah, he's in the pit. All right, so when will the leaders pit? Because Shazam and Alphanesis are 6 seconds out from one another. I don't know if this double stop is going to be worth it. Wrath is very close, but his teammates just pitted for the medium, so can pit right now and have no issues there. Supply Raptor should be fine because Deer Hunter had that wing issue, and pit should be clear for him. Catra and Lou, ultimate strategy, so Catra should be able to pull right in and get her a new fresh set of boots. And Phantom taking a time penalty, unfortunately. We do have the race leader Shazam into the pits, so there you have it. In for the mediums, Alphanesis continues on with the softs. Looks like Wrath goes into the pits for a new set of mediums. Supply Raptor into the pits now. Just held up maybe a little bit by the McLaren, but the Aston into the pits for Catra. And that should be it for those pit stops this time around. Alphanesis still needing to take a look at that. Luciano somewhat inheriting the lead of this race right now, so if a safety car happens, it's somewhat in their favor. Highest medium runner at this time, Ron, somehow up into P7 on those 13 lap softs and having a little bit of issues with tire wear by the looks of it. It's not looking very fresh on those boots. Zach the Beast on his way through. It looks like all the pit stops are mostly done. Now we'll have to see how the medium runners fare. I don't know how Ferrari Nut will fare. He can continue on quite a while. Maybe trying to pray for that late safety car to give him some positions. Who knows? But Luciano is going to be on his way through, and Alphanesis continues on the softs. Taylor setting an 18.6 is the fastest lap, but right now, oh, and gets through to Chandler. Oh, and Zach's into the pits, so yeah, that makes sense. So Chandler, unfortunately, being passed by Taylor on those slightly more worn-in mediums, more temp. But Shazam closing on Luciano. Should have him by the DRS zone. Looks like Wrath and Toneless are getting through. Toneless on the older mediums versus the McLaren on a fresh set. So the crossover period is here. Alphanesis is into the pits, and that's going to give Lou the lead. As long as his teammate doesn't get that overtake done before the line. And Shazam gets ahead. I don't know who started that lap, but hard to say. Shazam takes the lead for now. Luciano going a little bit wide on those older mediums. Not quite having the same grip. Alphanesis did the long stint on the softs, so trying to get the advantage on some of these other drivers, but does have Taylor for company and Chandler for company along with Feta. So we'll see Zach in his own little world in P7, but doing very well for himself. Wrath in P8, again in his own little world. Minico trying to close in on that alt strategy of softs after having some issues at the beginning of the race. Bailey making his way through Toneless. as it looks like Supply Raptor also looking at that move now as well. Toneless getting out of the way, knowing that his tires are a little bit not up to the pace that these drivers are at with their fresh set of boots. Boss Cookie trying to recover their race as well. So he's on his way through. Looks like Alphanesis is closing in to Luciano. Taylor's not too far off of Alphanesis though. Oh, and that's going to be a 3-second time penalty for overextending the corner right there. So that's not going to help Taylor's run. Few time penalties already up on the board. We're over halfway through, so we'll have to see what else can happen. Track limits are quite a pain around here, so we had a lot of invalidated laps in qualifying, so it's not a huge surprise to see some penalties pop up here and there. Betta still on the back of Chandler, but it looks like Chandler's fallen off a little bit from Taylor. Maybe they'll recombine the pack once they get back up to Lou. So we'll have to see. Maybe that can help Zach close in, maybe help Wrath close in. Looks like Toneless is going to lose out another spot to Boss Cookie. But Deer Hunter now closing in on them on an older set of mediums. Looks like Feta just outside of DRS and won't get it. And looks like the whole top group is out of DRS. Supply Raptor is going to be the only driver really that close for it. Same with Katra. Supply Raptor trying to close in on Bailey. Can he get anything out of it though? Not this time around, but he's going to keep trying to close in. Deer Hunter going with the ultra defensive tactic. Going all the way down to the wall, all the way back up to the top. Trying to keep Katra away. Closed in about 3/4 tenths there, so as long as Katra can keep it in tight, should be an easy-ish pass on the Alpha. This is the closest fight on track as Bailey gets a 3-second time penalty. So that's not handy. You see Supply Raptor getting fairly close to the back of Bailey though. Boss Cookie now wanting to get into the fray, so this is a 3-way fight. Hopefully there's no contact that comes of it, but oh, and there's the change for Luciano and Alphanesis into the corner. And that's Boss Cookie through Supply Raptor. Now Taylor's closing in on Luciano. And we'll have to see what happens. Alphanesis through Luciano and still closing in on his teammate-ish. Bailey now out of the points as Boss Cookie works his way back up into them. Minico would be the next on the list if Boss Cookie can close that in. Might be easy as Minico might be going into the pits soon for a new set of softs. I'm unsure. Maybe mediums to the end. Probably softs. Luciano into the pits after 18 laps on those mediums. Taylor will inherit the position. Same with Chandler, same with Betta. Zach should still get Lou. Wrath should still get Lou. Minico into the pits. Boss Cookie on his way out. And it looks like Bailey's going to get the better end. Same with Supply Raptor. So Lou down into P11 from P1 essentially. So have to see how that gets on. Alphanis closing in that little bit to his teammate at the front. 2/10 is closed, but still a lot of work to be done. Taylor working at the back of Alphanis only slightly. We'll have to see from Chandler what can be done. Somewhat off, but maybe with a battle from the front group. Podium is still there. The P4 is still pretty respectable from the Ferrari. P5 for Feta so far. Looks like there's a battle at the back between Minico and Ferrari Nuts. They're going side by side. Minico on the fresh set of tires. Ferrari Nut still on those hards. Let's see here. Wrath and Supply Raptor is as close as it gets outside of Ferrari Nut. Toneless into the pits after 20 laps on those mediums. Probably going to grab a set of softs at the end and call it that, but their race is quite far to the back, unfortunately. A late safety car could be an interesting change-up for a lot of these drivers. Raptor trying to get the back of Bailey. Will he be able to do it with DRS assistance? Wrath on the back of Zach now. Slightly fresher mediums. Will the McLarens get the better of that one? Wrath not looking for it this time around, but he's going to have to look for it soon because Boss Cookie's not too far behind and closing ever so much to try and make it an interesting fight. So we'll have to see what happens there. Supply Raptor on his way through, trying to chase down Bailey. Didn't make it happen this time through, but still will have DRS to keep himself fairly close. Alphanesis now 3 seconds out to his teammate, closing down those 10s ever so slowly, but it's still a surely slowly thing. Just has to keep up the pace. Ron's going to take a 3 second for time penalties as Boss Cookie makes his way through both Zach and Wrath. Zach, I'm sure, just wants to keep in close, try to get DRS. Let Boss Cookie try to close him in, but he's not going to want to give up that position so easily. Oh, having a bit of a moment. Not going to give Wrath a chance to get the look at him, probably, because it's not going to give Zach the speed he wants down this straight. And that's through for Wrath. Supply Raptor still not able to make it through on Bailey, but now Luciano is right on them with those fresh softs, so we'll have to see if he can make up some positions, maybe change up who gets points around here. Deer Hunter a little bit out with after some issues earlier, and 13 lap mediums still going strong. Alphanesis still closing into Shazam, another 2/10 down. 10 laps to go. I'm not sure he's got the time. Yeah, he's got to be able to keep pulling that 2-3 a lap. I'm not sure he's got it, but maybe he can. Luciano gets through Supply Raptor. Not a huge surprise considering the softs and their pace. Luciano trying to get close into Bailey, trying to get that DRS. Pushing with ERS to try and get it. I don't think he got it though. Bailey did the smart move to try and keep himself tactfully aware. But, and that's going to get Supply Raptor right into the middle of it with BRL Phantom coming out of the pits. These are your closest battles on track, pretty much, between Luciano and Bailey and Zach and Wrath. Although I think Wrath is pulling away from Zach just a bit. Slightly newer mediums compared to his 11-lap mediums. Bailey taking that wide line through the corner, but it seems to give him the run needed to protect himself. Luciano still trying to close in. Will have DRS this time around, though. Bailey takes the inside line. He's going to force the Aston up high. And Luciano is through. Bailey's still holding on to points, but not what he would want, I'm sure. Points are still on the table for many of these drivers, as long as they can close it in. Zach just falling off a little bit to Wrath, so maybe that's it. Alphanesis now 2 seconds out from his teammate. He can see him up the road. We'll have to see what happens. This is... Will he get the call? Is the James call here? You cannot pass your teammate because Taylor is 5 seconds out? We shall see. Make that turtle a hare. I agree. The Haas is not too fast, but they're doing very well to keep on keeping on with the Haas, so good on them. Same with Toneless and Ferrari Nut and the Williams. Same with Ron and the Alpha, so hats off to you boys for dealing with some of the more challenging vehicles, as it were. Alphanese is closing in to Shazam ever so slightly, but it's still there. Zach back onto DRS to Wrath, so he's not willing to give it up that easily. Sees that it's the late stages of the race and says, nah, that position's still mine. I can still do this, so good on him if he can stay up close and make it happen. Doesn't have DRS that time through, but we'll have to see. Supply Raptor with DRS. Bailey with DRS on Luciano, though. Bailey having a little bit of a squawk through the corner, but gets good traction on the way out. And Supply Raptor's going to have to fight him all the way to the line for that last point, it seems, so... Bailey does have that time penalty, which will not help that that want and need. Alphanesis now 1.3 away from his teammate. This is gonna be a teammate fight to the end. I don't know how to feel about that. That should be interesting. Taylor's still 5 seconds out, but can these two make a squabble in a fight without letting Taylor catch up? And what will these two do when they get close? Will it just be a let your teammate through because we're gentlemen? Or is it I got a point to prove because I'm in a Mercedes? Phantom's going to take another 3-second time penalty, so that's not going to help his race down in Haas, but trying to close in what he can. Alphanese is closer now. Ever so closer. Not many other fights on track. Bailey's still close to Luciano. Supply Raptor's still there. And looks like Zach and Wrath are still about a 1 second gap from one another. Not much has changed there. Alphanesis is very close. Looks like Miniko and Katra might be going at it, as Miniko's right on the back of Katra. Oh, is that Ferrari nut off? It is. The hard tires for 26 laps, and had a bit of a moment, but continuing on. Teammate takes a position from that. Miniko trying to get a jump down on Katra to maybe get another position to the end, but it might be a bit of a run to get up to Deer Hunter and such. Doesn't seem like we'll have a safety car on this endeavor around Portugal here. Alpha Nisus now 0.6 away from his teammate, as these two are going to have a titanic battle. They've pushed that gap to Taylor just a little bit more. They do have a little bit more wiggle room to fight with, but looks like Alpha Nisus is the driver on the stronger tire, just slightly fresher boots, and knows how to use them. Fly Raptor on Bailey for 3/10 though. And Alpha Nisus make the move on his teammate this time around of asking. Shazam goes low. I think these two are fighting it out. Shazam goes low, comes back up high. I think this is a fight to the end. I don't think there's going to be any friendship there. Supply Raptor closing in on Bailey, but Ferrari not into the pits for a set of softs. And we shall see. Supply Raptor, can you get through on this time? A little bit far back to maybe be doing that. Bailey's got not a lot of battery either to be playing with. A lot of overspeed from that DRS, but it's not going to be enough. Alpha Nisus is very close to the back of Shazam, but keeping just a safe distance as he falls through the corners. Alpha Nisus looking like the man that had the pace today. Can it be done on his teammate? He's gotten through everybody else, but can it be done on the teammate? Miniko's going to take a 3-second. Up 10 positions, and that is through his teammate on lap 30 of 33. Will that be able to stick to the end, or will Shazam be able to get the move done? Nobody wants to have any contact with their teammate, I'm sure. Shazam's not going to fight too hard into the corner. Alpha Nisus having a slight lock up into the corner. But so far so good. Alpha Nisus definitely the driver of the day so far. A lot of positions gained, a lot of pace to be found. There was no rain to be had this time around in Portugal. Will he be able to get through Shazam? Shazam will have DRS still. Ferrari not going to take a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately. Has a lot more battery than his teammate. The DRS is there. It's closing, it's closing, it's closing, and he backs out of it the very last second. Not wanting to get into it too tight into that corner with his teammate. A little puff from Alpha Nisus through the corner. But Shazam fighting through all the way, as these two are the closest fight, but Taylor falling off just a little bit from them. Supply Raptor not quite able to get through Bailey. Maybe this time with a little bit more battery, but it looks like Bailey might be getting DRS from a blue flag vehicle of Sprightly, so maybe it's playing out into Bailey's hands. Bailey able to hold on to that position so far. Shazam now a second off from his teammate. Won't have DRS this time around, but still has a lot more battery than his teammate. So maybe able to reel it in just before the DRS detection zone. Yeah, closed it in a lot in those corners, just trying to give it everything to catch right back up. Is it going to be another overtake right here? Another trade from the teammates. It's side by side. Into the corner. And it's going to be another trade. Oh, a little bit of a squabble. Shazam hits the corner not the nicest way, I think. And Alphanesis does a nice little dodge to stay away. These two are going to be fighting it out. Shazam definitely does have the battery versus his teammate right now, as these two are fighting it out Nico Rosberg style. Lewis Hamilton style. Just with some less crashing, perhaps. But amazing racing. These two are fighting it out for the win. This is the fight to be. Bailey holding off Supply Raptor, though. So that fight for the last point is still there. Oh! Shazam having a bit of a moment. Alphanesis not wanting to give up DRS to his teammate. So maybe the mind games are there. Maybe the Shazam went for the late move out wide to get DRS for protection. Alphanesis trying to do everything he can to close back in. Shazam goes low. He's going to go back up high. So these two are going to give it everything into the last few corners. This is the final lap for these two. Luciano trying to make a move on Zach towards the end of the race here. They do have one more lap to get it done. Cash is going to take a 3-second time penalty. Alphanesis and Shazam. This is the titanic battle towards the end. Will it be enough, though? Alphanesis on the back of Shazam. Will it be enough with DRS? He doesn't have a whole lot of room of DRS, so maybe this is it. Maybe Shazam got the defense done that he needed to do. They're both having some twitches and squabbles through the corner. Alphanesis trying to give it everything, but he's going to go right down to the end. 4/10 out, but that's going to be it for the two teammates. As Alphanesis is going to take that extra point for fastest lap. We're going to watch Taylor come down over the line for P3, take his penalty, and move on. Chandler coming down over the line. Feta cheese. Over the line. We have a Haas spinning over the line. I believe that was Phantom crashing his car out. Boss Cookie now over the line. Wrath able to hold on to P7 as Zach was able to hold off Luciano at the end of this race here. He had no fuel, and he's going to lose a position because of it. And Bailey's going to throw his car out. Same with Deer Hunter. Or, not Deer Hunter, but Raptor. As Deer Hunter comes down over the line. Nico over the line. Katra over the line to finish this off, I believe. And who do we have left? Sprightly? Sprightly over the line to see a barrage of dead cars. So there's your 1, 2, 3. It's 2 Mercedes. Red Bull for P3 in Taylor. But Mercedes the big winner here today. It's going to be interesting for our constructor standings to see what happens with that. Oh boy, so lots to talk about. I'm sure stewards will want to see a lot of what happened there between that 5-place grid penalty, but let's get these drivers in here. Just waiting on everybody to get into the party. We have everybody here. Not quite. Oh boy, what a race. What a race. Hopefully we can get all of our podium positions in here. All right. Well, at least we have 2 of 3. That's a good start. Unsure if Alphanesis even does interviews or not, though. But as long as your audio is included, I guess I'll start with Taylor. How was that for you? Not pretty interesting turn 1. I'm guessing you wanted a little bit more towards the end, but P3 is a pretty strong result for you. How was that?
Yeah, turn 2. I don't know what Minico was thinking, but I mean, who cares? So it's just gonna be a drive back up to the field, which was alright. Wish I could have had a little bit more pace to keep up with Shazam and Alphanesis, but it's whatever. I knew I wasn't gonna have any pace coming in, so P3's I'll take it. Move on.
Well, hey, P3 is pretty good. At least you beat out your teammate. That's always nice to score more points. Anything else for the next race?
Constructors fight is over. Hopefully Cookie can pull something together at Spain, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be a hard fight.
So we'll have to see with that. Shazam, how was the race for you? That was an interesting ending between teammates. What was that at the ending there with the DRS detection? Want to fill us in?
You talk about the last lap or the second last lap?
Yeah, like lap 32, I believe. Right
Yeah,
before the last lap.
I was gonna I was gonna get DRS. I was like coming up to the corner and I saw DRS detection was pretty late, so I was just gonna do like a Leclerc and like let him go by and take the DRS. But he didn't end up doing that, and I gunned it on him when he was slowing down, so I was able to pull a big enough gap and had like 55, 60% ERS left. So I just spammed it down the whole straight and was able to get away.
Well, that was a stellar defense for the end. Alphanesis had the pace. It seemed you had the defense in the end, though.
Yeah, with
So
like 12 laps
congratulations to
left,
you
I
on that
had
one.
6 laps of fuel, so I had to save pretty bad, and it was inevitable until he caught up. So
But yeah, that was a very good race for both Mercedes to come home 1-2 with fastest lap. So good for your constructor standing. Good for your own championship standings. So.
absolutely, thank you.
But I think Alphanesis isn't going to take an interview, so thank you for coming out and congratulations on your P2 there. 4 tenths between the 1-2, and that was a very good race. Thank you everyone for coming in to watch, and this has been BRL Realistic, round 3 at Portugal.